Well, I think the first thing that shows up for me with regards to our sort of Western material success is that it is a cultural narrative. And so that's the first thing that, like when I sort of work with somebody, one of the agreements that I sort of come up with them is like we have to be like radically honest with one another. And so the thing that often shows up for me when it comes to our sort of Western material success is like if you were born at another point in history, that wouldn't be a concern. Like it's a current concern basically because of cultural conditioning that we have. And so if we look at our sort of evolutionary history, as a species, for hundreds of thousands or at least tens of thousands of years, we lived in tribes in the forest. And so in those tribes, your quote unquote success measure was around how much you contributed to the tribe. So did you go and hunt that animal? Did you go and collect the berries? Did you go and get that fish? Did you go, whatever. It was a sharing sort of system, which was based around the necessities of survival. Right now, we fast forward, and the challenge with the sort of Western individualist sort of narrative is that we are living basically out of alignment with our own intrinsic nature. And so, this is like the entrepreneurial sort of story of like, oh, I made it to the top, but I had nobody to share it with, and in the end, I realized that it didn't mean anything. And the reason I would argue that it didn't mean anything is because you had no one to share it with. And so, we're actually intrinsically wired for like contribution, for community, for connection. But the way that our sort of, what would you call it, culture isn't set up in that way. It's largely set up certainly in the West, it's largely set up as an individual pursuit. Aaron, you look after me, you look after you, and I'll look after me. And if I can help you a little bit here and there, I will. I'll give you a word of advice or whatever. But largely, you're going to look after you, and I'm going to look after me. And that sort of, it goes against our sort of intrinsic wiring. And so if it goes against our intrinsic wiring, then we have to ask the question, okay, well, how come this is the case? And I would argue that the reason that this is the case is basically it comes down to a cultural narrative. And so this is the thing, is that most people pursue their idea that they have been taught about success, then achieve it, then normally come to me and say, it didn't give me the things that I thought it would. How come? And basically, well, the reason how come is that this is the thing, and this is the thing around Western culture, which we have a problem with, is that contrary to our narrative, we are not as individual as we like to think. And I write a lot about this in the book, is basically like, if we take like another animal, you take dogs, for example, like dogs are unique in that they have different personalities, but they are all still dogs. And so they all have intrinsic needs like play, like affection, like food, like walks, and if you deny any of those dogs those things, the dog will suffer. It doesn't matter if it's a Chihuahua, a Great Dane, an extroverted, introverted dog, doesn't matter the personality type of the dog will suffer. And so as human beings, we have intrinsic needs as well. And our intrinsic needs are around connection, they are around contribution, they are around community. These are our intrinsic needs based on our sort of biological wiring. But the success narrative, basically it's so bad in that it actively actually works against all of our sort of biological wiring. And so what ends up happening is even if we achieve said whatever, and I deal with this every day, even if we achieve said whatever, because it goes against our wiring, it's ultimately unfulfilling.
Thank you very much for tuning in to that clip. If you enjoyed it, then you'll love the full-length episode right here. Right here. Click it. Go ahead.